If you hear chewing in the background, that's them eating the last survivor who tried to escape the wreck. I'm next. Unless this log reaches someone who knows how to kill what's hunting me inside this plane. Welcome back, survivors. Before the story starts, tap subscribe and comment where you're tuning in from. I'm dropping another story tomorrow, and you'll want to catch it first. Audio log, day 175, after the outbreak. Time, 1942. Location, wing of downed aircraft. Unknown ravine. The wind is getting colder, stronger. It cuts through my jacket like it knows I'm running out of strength. I'm sitting on what's left of the left wing of Flight 27, balanced over a ravine deep enough to erase my name from the world. The metal beneath me shifts with every gust, groaning like it's seconds from giving up. If you're listening to this, I'll try to stay coherent. Try to stay like the pilot I once was, calm, in control, but my voice might shake. You'll hear things, background noises I wish I could unhear. There were 11 of us after the crash, only 2 remain now. Maybe only 1, depending on how long Ethan lasts inside the fuselage. He thought he could slip past them and climb toward the tree line before dark. If those chewing sounds stop behind me, it means he didn't make it. And if they stop because they're done, they'll look for dessert. The wing vibrates under me again. Hold on. Metal scraping, distant moans from below. The plane is lodged diagonal across the ravine, the tail jammed into rock above, the nose hanging into nothingness. One wrong movement, one loud noise, one shift in weight, and gravity finishes what the crash started. The sun's almost gone, which means the infected will get bolder. Night gives them confidence, makes them curious. You might be wondering why I'm out here and not inside, secured behind whatever scraps of safety remain. The truth is simpler than survival should ever be. I can't be in that fuselage right now, not after what I heard last night, not after what I think I saw. And if I die out here, at least the fall will be fast. Inside, it would be slower, more personal. Let me give you enough context so my death makes sense, if that's how this ends. I'm Maya Laurent, former commercial airline pilot, captain, once upon a time before fear grounded me. I stepped down after a mid-air engine failure, forced an emergency descent. We lived. Everyone lived. But my hands never stopped shaking afterward. It's funny. I saved 146 lives that day, and still couldn't save myself from the nightmares. Then the outbreak arrived and the skies became escape routes. I could have flown people out. I could have helped. Instead, I refused every flight. I let fear make me useless. Cowardly. On day 171, I finally boarded a plane. Not to fly it, just to run from the infection spreading through Europe. 4 days later, the infection found us anyway, mid-air. 1 person, maybe more, was infected before boarding. Panic, screaming, blood. We hit the ground in a forest somewhere north. I don't know the country anymore. Boarders died long before we crashed. Low, wet, tearing noise, echoes from inside fuselage. That sound, don't mistake it for the wind. Ethan should have known better. He wasn't reckless. That's what scares me. He was careful, smart, too calm for someone trapped with the dead. He told me to stay here, gave me his recorder, this one, like he knew he wasn't coming back, like he wanted proof of what happened to us. 5 minutes ago, I heard him scream. Not long, not panicked, more like surprise. Then the chewing started. I should go inside. I should help him. But the wing is safer than stepping into that dark metal coffin again. Safer from them and from what else I heard last night. Here, listen. She shifts. Wind whistles. The metal wing creaks. At 02:13 this morning, I woke up to someone whispering my name from the cockpit. Soft. Female. I thought it was Naomi, one of the passengers who survived the first night, but she'd already fallen into the ravine 2 days ago. I heard the impact. I heard how long she screamed before the infected reached her. Still, the whisper sounded exactly like her voice. I didn't move. I just listened. The whisper came again, closer, like whoever it was had crawled up beside me. I turned on my flashlight. No one was there, but the wet footprints on the cockpit floor weren't mine. You tell me what I'm supposed to believe. The wing shifts again, and I have to grip the broken flaps to keep from sliding. The ravine below looks like a throat waiting to swallow me. And the infected, they're gathering at the bottom. They sense movement, smell blood. Maybe they remember the taste of the first few who fell. There, a metallic clang inside, followed by shuffling. They're moving inside the fuselage. Multiple. Ethan's scream must have attracted them. Or maybe one more woke up. I need to get back to the tail section before dark fully settles, but that means crossing the cabin, past the bodies, past the cracked windows where their hands reach through, past the lavatory where the screaming started 3 nights ago, except no one was there when I checked. If I don't record again, assume I chose wrong. Before I move, answer this for yourself, quietly, like your life depends on it. Would you go back inside to try and save the last person alive with you? Or would you stay out here on the wing, alone, and hope morning comes first? If you're hearing this, it means I convinced myself to move, or I ran out of excuses not to. The chewing stopped. That silence, it's worse. Silence means a decision has been made. Either Ethan is dead, or something else inside is listening now. I can't stay exposed on the wing any longer. The sun dropped behind the ridge, temperatures crashing fast, and the metal is slick with frost. My fingers are numb. If I slip, gravity will write the last line of my story. I'm making my way toward the fuselage door. Slowly, I have to crawl. One wrong shift, and the wing could tilt further. The entire aircraft groaned a minute ago, like it tested its own balance and didn't like the result. Wind howls. Metal creaks beneath her. The infected below are louder, restless. When the wind carries their voices up the ravine, it almost sounds like they're speaking. I know that's impossible. I know. But exhaustion can make anything sound human. Almost at the door. The burnt orange sky is fading to ash. I'm reaching for the jagged frame. Low thump from inside. There it is again. Movement inside. Heavy. Intentional. That wasn't one of them stumbling. That sounded placed. Like someone shifting their weight carefully. I need light. Click of flashlight. The beam cuts through the dark cabin. Rows of torn seats, hanging oxygen masks, snowflakes drifting in through shattered panels. There's blood on the floor. Old and dark. Not fresh. That's something. No dragging streaks. But Ethan isn't at the entrance. He should be here. He promised he wouldn't go farther in without me. I'm stepping inside now. The temperature drops instantly, like crossing into a tomb. My breathing echoes too loudly in here. The flashlight flickers across the safety cards still stuffed into seat pockets. Funny. We always joke nobody reads them. Turns out, none of those instructions prepare you for this. Every instinct tells me to go to the cockpit. It's the most secure location. Reinforced door, limited entry points, but that's where I heard the whisper last night. And I can't afford to unravel. Not yet. Priority. Find Ethan. If he's alive, we need a plan for shelter. Tail section's more stable, less exposed. That's where we stored supplies. And the beacon, if it still works. Moving down the aisle now. You'll hear my steps. Slow. Controlled. Soft footsteps on metal. Then fabric brushing. Seat 12C. 13A. 14B. This was where the screaming began during the crash. A little girl was here. Amelia. 6 years old. She was travelling with her aunt. Amelia didn't survive the impact. Her aunt did. For a while. She stopped breathing 2 nights ago. I still can't get the sound of her last words out of my head. She keeps asking for you. I didn't know what she meant. Maybe she was hallucinating. Maybe she meant the little girl. Maybe. No. Stay focused. Don't let imagination take controls again. That's how pilots crash perfectly stable planes, by losing the cockpit inside their own head. Soft metallic tap behind her. Hold on, that wasn't me. Something tapped near the overhead compartments. Not a shuffle, more like knuckles on metal. Hello? My voice, too loud. Idiot. No response. Only the wind pushing through cracks in the fuselage. I'm passing row 18. This is where Lewis sat. He had a broken leg, but survived. He begged us not to leave him when the infected appeared on the second day. We tried to carry him. We slipped. I can still feel his fingers tearing at my sleeve as he fell into the ravine. He didn't scream long. Don't think about that. Thinking gets you killed. I'm nearing the galley. Blood smear on the floor. This one's fresher. A few hours. The red's still glossy along the metal. It leads toward the back toward the lavatory. No, not there. Anywhere but there. Ethan wouldn't have gone into the lavatory. He swore he wouldn't. After the first night we all agreed. No one goes near it after dark. That's where the first sound came from. When Naomi thought she saw someone standing in the mirror behind her, even though she was alone. But the trail leads in that direction. If Ethan got grabbed, if he crawled there to escape, then I'm his only chance. I'm approaching the door now. Light breathing, soft dripping sound. The chewing didn't come from here earlier. The chewing was mid-cabin. So what's dripping? I'm opening the lavatory door. Hinge squeals. Empty. No Ethan. No body. Just water dripping from a cracked ceiling panel onto the sink. And the mirror. Shattered. Like someone punched it. But there's something written on the remaining glass in reverse. Like from the inside. Don't trust his voice. Whose voice? Ethan's? The whispers? My own? No. Someone wrote this for a reason. Someone with enough clarity to warn the next person. There's a sound behind me. Ragged breathing. Not hers. I'm turning around. Flashlight up. Ethan. He's standing in the aisle, pale, eyes wide, shirt torn, blood on his collar. Not his. He's breathing hard, like he ran, but he isn't speaking, just staring. Ethan, say something. Nothing. He tilts his head at me, slowly, too slowly, like a puppet waiting for instructions. He raises a finger, points to my recorder, then to his mouth. Is he telling me to stop talking, to be quiet? Or is he telling me something can hear us? His lips finally part, but the voice that comes out isn't his. Before I begin, I need to say this clearly in case the next few minutes go wrong. What I heard coming out of Ethan's mouth was not the voice of any living person, and if what happened next is real, not shock, not stress, then something inside this wreck can use our voices against us. I'm keeping my back against the cabin wall now, recorder close. I'm whispering, "You'll understand why." When Ethan opened his mouth, the voice that came out wasn't male. It wasn't even adult. It was a little girl's voice, soft, breathy, like Amelia, the 6-year-old who died in row 12. It spoke my name, not Maya, not hey, not a scream, but the exact tone Amelia used when she asked for a second juice box before takeoff. "Miss Maya, can you help me?" My blood iced over. My legs almost gave. Every instinct said run, but my muscles locked. Trauma can do that, freeze you mid-threat. Pilots train to override that reflex, but training assumes the threat obeys reality. Ethan, if it was Ethan, took a step closer. The cabin floor creaked under his weight. His eyes, blank, but alert at the same time. His mouth still shaped as if someone else was piloting it from behind his teeth. I raised my flashlight and shined it full into his face. His pupils didn't even flinch. No reaction to the light. What did react was something else. A voice, my own, whispered directly behind me, "Don't turn around." But my flashlight was already facing forward. No one behind me. Still, I felt breath on my neck. Warm. I forced myself to focus. Ethan's fingers twitched. And then, as if a switch flipped, his knees buckled. He collapsed. Dead weight. Like his strings had been cut. The little girl's voice stopped instantly, mid-breath. His body hit the cabin floor with a dull thud that echoed through the hollow fuselage. The infected below heard it. Their growling surged up the ravine like a tidal wave. I didn't check his pulse. Couldn't. The air around him felt wrong. Thick. Like the space itself was observing me. If I touched him, I don't know what would have happened. I backed away until my shoulder blades hit the emergency exit door. My breathing was so loud I had to hold it to listen. Nothing moved. No footsteps. No whisper. Just the metal shrinking in the cold and the distant furious hunger of the infected below. I needed to get to the tail section. Supplies were there. The emergency beacon. And distance. From that thing. Whatever wore Ethan's voice like clothing. The aisle was narrow. Dark. But I kept low. One hand on seats. The other holding the recorder and my flashlight. The emergency lights. Dead. The only glow came from snow reflecting moonlight through the shattered windows. I passed row 21. This was where the surviving passengers huddled the first night, where we shared the last energy bars, whispered plans for rescue, where Lewis begged us not to leave him. I can still see his face in the beam of this flashlight, hopeful, right before he slipped from our hands. The plane shifted again. The floor tilted 2 degrees downward. Not much, but I felt it. A reminder that time was running out. Then, micro-tension trigger, right on cue. A whisper. Faint. Ahead. This time, it wasn't a child. It was a man's voice. Calm. Familiar. My voice. Maya, don't go back there. Please. Not spoken from memory. Not hallucinated inside my skull. External. Audible. As if someone stood at the far end of the aisle, using my voice. You know the shock of hearing yourself on a recording? Multiply that by terror. Then add the knowledge that you are not alone in a space that should be empty. I killed my flashlight instantly. Blackness swallowed the cabin. My eyes strained against the dark. Breath shallow, low, controlled. Just like they teach you before fog landings. If something can mimic voices, is it luring? Is it learning? Or is something infected evolving? After 20 seconds of silence, I turned the flashlight back on. Lowest beam. No one there, but something had changed. Ethan's body was gone. Not dragged, not smeared. Gone. No blood trail. No disturbed dust. Like he'd been lifted. That snapped something inside me. Shock sharpened into survival. Whatever rules I thought applied here, don't. I ran the last stretch to the tail section door, gripping seatbacks to steady myself as the fuselage tilted further. When I reached the rear pressure bulkhead, I slammed the manual lock behind me and pushed cargo crates to barricade the entrance. I'm inside the tail now. The space is cramped but more intact. The emergency kits, flares, rations, they're still here. Thank God. I found another body. Derek. He didn't make it long after the crash. He's frozen now, still belted to a jump seat. At least he stayed dead. I'm sitting beside the beacon case. Before I open it, I need a moment to breathe, to think clearly. If the beacon works, rescue could come. Human rescue. If it doesn't, the soft tapping on the bulkhead. From the other side, 3 taps. Pause. 3 taps again. Like someone trying to get my attention. I freeze. My throat tightens. Because that tapping pattern, 3, pause, 3, was the code Ethan and I used to signal. All clear. Safe. But he didn't tap like a survivor tonight. He spoke like a dead child. If you were me, sitting here right now with a barricade between you and something that knows your voice, knows your codes, would you answer those taps? Or pretend you never heard them? Audio log, day 176. After the outbreak, time 0112. Location, tail section. Emergency beacon compartment. The tapping hasn't stopped for over an hour. 3 taps. A pause. 3 taps again. But I'm not answering. I won't. The temperature has dropped so low that my breath hangs like fog, even inside the sealed tail section. My hands are stiff, trembling. Not from fear this time, but from cold and exhaustion. I haven't slept. I can't. Every time I close my eyes, I hear that child's voice replaying in my skull. Miss Maya, can you help me? No, not Amelia. Something wearing her like a mask. I move to the far end of the tail, near the emergency hatch, to keep distance from the bulkhead door. The barricade of crates still holds, but the metal vibrates faintly with each tap, like knuckles brushing tin. The tapping finally stopped at 0048. Then came silence, deep and absolute. Silence in a crashed plane is worse than noise. Noise means something is outside. Silence means it could be inside. To keep myself sane, or prove I'm not losing it, I forced myself to focus on the beacon. The case was frozen shut, but after smashing the ice seal with a fire extinguisher, I managed to pry it open. Inside, a compact orange device, the ELT, Emergency Locator Transmitter, battery-powered, designed to activate on impact. It should have triggered automatically the moment we crashed. It didn't. I checked the wiring. Someone had cut it. Not torn, not broken. Cut. Clean. Deliberate. Meaning, someone sabotaged our rescue chances before the plane went down. My stomach turned. The passengers, the chaos, the screaming after we hit the ravine. I assumed everything went wrong because of the outbreak. But what if the crash wasn't an accident at all? Before my brain could spiral deeper, a faint metallic groan rolled through the cabin. The tail section shifted, maybe an inch, maybe less, but enough to slide a wrench across the floor on its own. I froze. The ravine is eating at the supports. The snow beneath the fuselage must be melting or sliding. If the plane drops another few feet, it could tear in half, and I'd be inside the weaker half. I need to move, but to leave means crossing back through the mid-cabin, past the bulkhead, past the thing that used Ethan's body like a glove. I paced the length of the tail section, thinking through options. Option 1, stay and activate the beacon. Pray the signal reaches someone. Hope rescue arrives before the plane falls, or the voice-wearing thing comes through the door. Option 2, climb out the emergency hatch and scale the fuselage exterior to reach the cockpit. Check the radio, higher ground, better antenna. Option 3, attempt neither. Conserve heat, wait for daylight, try to think rationally. A sudden sound cut through my thoughts, a muffled scrape along the exterior metal, slow, dragging, like fingers trailing across the plane's skin, then a soft thud near the hatch. I held still, listening. Another thud, this one heavier, more deliberate. Something, or someone, was climbing the outside of the tail section. I killed my flashlight. Darkness swallowed everything. For 30 seconds, nothing. Then a whisper, muffled through the metal, but unmistakably nearby. Maya, please, open up. I'm cold. It's Ethan. I need... No. I press my hands to my ears, bit down on my tongue to stay silent. That wasn't Ethan. It couldn't be. He died. I saw him fall. And even if he had survived the collapse, how would he know I came here? How would he reach the tail, outside, in the dark, without making a sound? The whisper shifted. The voice deepened, warped, like two voices speaking at once. You left me. You always leave them. Captain. My lungs stopped. Captain. Nobody here knew about my grounding hearing, that I'd been forced to resign, that people died under my command, unless it wasn't speaking to me, but through me, tapping into my memories, my guilt. I gripped the recorder tighter, just to feel something solid in my hand. Then, silence. Not easing silence, but one sound, but charged, like whatever was outside was listening for my breath. I waited, counted to 300 in my head. No movement. When I finally dared to move again, I lit the flashlight, shielded the beam with my fingers to make it dim, and inspected the hatch. Something was pressed against the outside of the window. A hand. Grey skin. Nails cracked and etched into the frost. Letters. M-A-Y. My name. Written backward from the outside. My pulse hammered so hard I saw stars. I stumbled back and knocked a toolbox over. The sound echoed too loudly. The hand outside vanished. Then, an answering sound. 3 taps. Pause. 3 taps. Only this time, instead of coming from the bulkhead door, it came from the emergency hatch at my back. 2 sides. 2 points of pressure. Something on the inside. Something on the outside. I'm boxed in. I can't stay here. I stuffed the beacon into my pack along with flares, protein bars, and a thermal blanket. My plan changed. Exit through the roof access panel instead of the hatch. Climb across the exposed fuselage in the dark. Risk the wind, the height, the infected below. Anything is better than staying boxed here with things that can mimic the dead. Before I leave, I need to record one last fact. Whatever is haunting this wreck is not acting like the infected. It is not mindless. It knows names. It remembers voices. It speaks like those it kills. And tonight, it learned mine. If anyone finds this recorder and I'm gone, don't assume I fell. Assume I was invited out. Wind claws at me like it wants to rip me from the plane and toss me into the ravine. The metal beneath me is rimmed with frost, slanted downward, vibrating with every gust. I shouldn't be recording, but my brain is shaking harder than my hands. If I don't narrate, the silence will swallow me. I escaped through the roof access panel, nearly slipped the moment my boots hit the fuselage. The slope is worse out here. The tail section dangles at a sharper angle now. 3, maybe 4 degrees more than before. Enough to matter. Enough to hint that the snow shelf under us is eroding. 1 shift, 1 crack, and the back half goes down. Below me, the ravine yawns. A jagged mouth of black rock and broken trees. Moonlight catches on movement far beneath. 6, no, 8 infected, gathered around the bodies that fell during the collapse. They tug at limbs, gnawing like hyenas, flesh tearing, wet chewing. I can hear it even up here. Wind masks sound, but not enough. I crawl on all fours, trying to keep my weight low. My gloves slip on ice. I press my chest to the fuselage to steady myself. Cheek against cold metal that steals warmth instantly. A deep groan rolls through the plane. Not mechanical. Structural. The kind that means weight is shifting. I freeze. The tail sags another fraction. Snow dust shakes loose around me. If the tail drops, the fuselage might roll with it. I need to get to the cockpit, higher ground, more stable, less likely to fall. The roof beneath my left hand warms slightly. Not physically. My brain. A memory. Training. Always move toward the nose in a crash landing. Structure's strongest there. That's your lifeboat. I breathe through chattering teeth and inch forward. Snowflakes sting my face like needles. Far ahead, I see the faint outline of the cockpit windows, half shattered, half frosted over. If the controls or radio still function at all, that's my best shot. A metallic clang echoes behind me. I whip around, heart jerking into my throat. The roof panel I exited from is open, swaying. I know I shut it. I know I latched it. Something pushed it open. For a moment, Nothing emerges. Wind whistles through the gap. Shadows flicker inside like a throat breathing. Then a hand grips the rim and pulls up. Not grey, not rotten, human. A head rises. Snow-dusted hair, pale skin, wide frantic eyes. Ethan. No, it can't be. I watch his face. It's him. The jawline, the mole on his cheek, the pilot wings pin still on his torn jacket. But his eyes, they're wrong. Too wide, too glossy, puppeted. Maya. His voice trembles like a shiver. Don't leave me. Again. The same word the voice outside used. Ethan pulls himself onto the fuselage. Movement too smooth for a man who fell 2 stories. His limbs bend with disturbing fluidity, like there are no bones inside. I crawl backward, boots skidding. He tilts his head. A smile twitches at the edges of his mouth, an imitation of a human expression. Copied, not felt. You always run, he whispers. From the sky. From them. From me. My blood goes cold. The wind cuts. But that voice cuts deeper. Too intimate. Too knowing. He crawls toward me, not like a man on a wing, cautious and braced against wind, but like gravity is optional. Maya, help me, please. His tone cracks into that of a child. I'm cold. Amelia's voice. It's using both. No, I whisper, throat raw. You're not them. The smile drops. In a single jerk, Ethan's head snaps sideways, ear to shoulder, as if listening to something only he can hear. Then his body contorts, arms and legs bending outward, low to the metal, predatory. A slow exhale steams from his mouth, not human, not infected, something in between. The plane shifts again, tail dipping violently. I flatten myself and cling to a broken antenna stub. Snow and ice avalanche down the fuselage past me, sliding toward the ravine, taking Ethan with it. He doesn't fall. He digs his nails into the metal and holds on. Body sideways to the slope, like gravity has no claim on him. His neck slowly rotates back to face me. Not the rest of him, just the head. I gag. I scramble forward, using rivet lines as handholds. The cockpit feels impossibly far. The wind cuts with a new, angry howl, like the storm itself wants to tear me free. A new sound rises beneath the wind, not chewing, not groaning, claws on metal. The infected below are climbing the ravine wall, drawn by the voices, the movement, our struggle. If they reach the fuselage, I'll have the mimic behind me and a swarm ahead. A perfect trap. I force myself upright, just enough to half run, half crawl. I feel the plane tremble. Ethan's voice chases me, stretched into a taunt, carried by the wind. You can't save anyone, Captain, not even yourself. My boots reach the edge of the cockpit frame. I leap, grabbing the jagged rim of a shattered window. Glass cuts my sleeve, but not my skin. I swing myself inside and tumble onto the co-pilot's seat. I slam the half-broken cockpit door shut. It doesn't lock, but it's a barrier. Thin hope, but hope. My breath fogs the air. The interior is freezing, but intact enough to shield from wind. Controls are dead, panels dark. I scan for the radio, damaged, but maybe repairable. Outside, footsteps scrape across the fuselage roof. Slow, deliberate. Above me, Ethan, or the thing wearing his shape hasn't left. I whisper into the recorder, voice shaking but firm. If anyone hears this, there's something worse than the infected out here. Something that remembers us. It's hunting survivors in this wreck, and it's learning. The footsteps stop directly overhead. It's still above me. I can hear it pacing the length of the cockpit roof. Slow, thoughtful steps, not the frantic scrabble of an infected. This thing is deciding, studying, testing where to break through. The wind shrieks through the shattered windshield, ripping at stray papers and dangling wires. Snowflakes drift inside like ash. The plane groans again, metal straining, warning me that time is running thin on every level. Wind, structure, and sanity. I force myself to move. Sitting frozen is how people die in aircraft emergencies. Paralysis kills faster than impact. I shifted to survival mode, scanning the cockpit with a pilot's eye. Systems dead, but not all beyond use. The radio panel was cracked, half gutted, but I found what I needed. The backup battery pack and the manual transmitter interface. With luck and enough power, I could get a short-range distress burst out. It might not reach a base, but maybe another survivor, a ranger station, a military patrol, anyone. I rummaged through the avionics compartment under the panels. Wiring a mess. Snow damp. But the emergency hand crank generator was there, still sealed in its casing. One problem, it needs 2 hands to operate for several minutes, and the noise it makes is not subtle. Footsteps above shifted, slower, closer to the front. I killed my breath and ducked lower. The ceiling above the captain's chair dipped inward slightly, like something pressed down, testing the metal strength. A whisper filtered through the roof. So soft I almost believed it came from my mind. Captain. No. Focus, Maya! I crawled under the console, unscrewing panel screws with numb fingers. The wind outside punched the fuselage, rattling windows, drowning out my breathing. For a moment I thought the footsteps moved away. Then, 3 taps on the glass beside me, not above, eye level. I snapped my head up. A face stared through the broken co-pilot window, upside down, hanging by its feet from the fuselage roof, hair dangling, eyes too wide, lips curled in a smile that didn't belong to any living thing. Ethan's face. It blinked, once, slowly, upside down, neck bent and at a wrong angle, head rotating slightly like it enjoyed watching me freeze. Its voice came through the cracked window, whisper thin, as if spoken through a throat filled with ice. Don't do that, Maya. Don't call for them. They crashed too. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't. The head jerked upward as if lifted by invisible strings, vanishing. Footsteps scrambled across the fuselage again, fast now, and then silence. It's toying with me. My heart hammered painfully, pounding in my ears. I braced my forearm against the ribbed insulation beneath the console until sensation returned to my limbs. I forced myself to continue working. The battery pack sparked when I connected the first wire. Good. It still held charge. I rigged a direct bypass to the transmitter. A crude Frankenstein circuit, but enough to send a distress ping if I could power it. I unboxed the hand crank generator and hesitated. Once I start turning, the creature will hear it. It will come. I set the crank on the cockpit floor. No choice. Wait too long, and dawn won't save me. The plane will fall before then. While I worked, I found something wedged between the captain's seat and the pedestal. A torn page from a flight manifest, most of the names crossed out. Next to mine, a circle and a note scrawled in frantic handwriting. She was supposed to jump. My throat closed. My skydiving phobia. My refusal that day. My grounding. The passengers who died because I couldn't jump. Nobody on this plane knew that story. Nobody living. I crumpled the paper and shoved it away. The fuselage shuddered, this time not from wind. Something heavy landed near the cockpit roof again. Not pacing now. Waiting. I positioned myself behind the center pedestal. Back to the floor. Legs braced to crank. I steadied my breath. 1 minute of noise, I whispered. 1 minute could save my life. I turned the crank. The generator whined. A grinding mechanical wail that cut through the storm's howl. Above me, claws scraped metal. I cranked faster. Pain shot through my shoulders, but the transmitter lights flickered, attempting to revive. A metallic bang smashed onto the roof, hard enough to shower me with dust from above. Then again, it was trying to break through. Come on! I gritted, cranking with everything left in me. The radio sparked. 1 red light, then green. I slammed the transmit button. This is flight! My voice cracked. This is Survivor Maya Laurent. Crash site in northern mountains. Infected surrounding wreck. Unknown entity mimicking survivors. If you hear this, respond. The radio spat static. No reply. The roof dented inward. Metal bending with a tortured screech. Please! I yelled into the mic. Anyone! For a heartbeat, nothing. Then, a voice. Not the creatures, not static. Human. Copy! If you can hear, stay put. Do not leave the aircraft. Sunrise. Hold until... The words cut abruptly, but I heard enough. Someone is coming. Hope is dangerous, but this felt real. Solid. Not a hallucination. The roof above me buckled. A hand punching through insulation. Fingers clawing at wiring. I grabbed the flare gun from the emergency kit near the captain's seat. Loaded. 1 shot. 1 chance. The creature's arm forced through, searching for me. I fired. The flare exploded against the roof in a starburst of blazing magnesium. The cockpit filled with light and smoke. A shriek tore through the metal, high, furious, inhuman. The hand recoiled, sizzling, smoke trailing through the hole. The thing scrambled away across the fuselage, screeching. I coughed through the haze, recording even as tears burned my eyes. Someone heard me. Someone's coming at sunrise. I just have to survive a few more hours. But the flare burned a bigger hole through the insulation. I can now hear it outside. Circle the cockpit like a predator waiting for smoke to die. I can't hide the hope in my voice, or the terror. Whoever that was, please, come fast. The flare's glow died an hour ago. The cockpit is a tomb of smoke-laced cold, the air sharp with burned magnesium and melted insulation. I couldn't stay. The hole in the roof made it too exposed, too easy for that thing to reach in again. I moved into the forward service compartment just behind the cockpit. It's cramped, lined with storage cabinets, emergency equipment, and a fold-down jump seat. I wedged myself here where the corridor narrows, hoping the tight space gives me a defensive advantage if the creature returns. Dawn is bleeding into the sky, grey, distant, unfocused. Sunrise was my deadline. The voice on the radio said to stay put until then. I keep checking the horizon through a cracked porthole. If rescue is real, daylight is my lifeline. But the more the sky brightens, the more I feel like something else is waiting for morning too. The fuselage below groans, a reminder that everything under me is clinging to the ravine by threads. Wind whips against the shell of the aircraft. Colder now, sharper. There's a storm front building on the horizon. Dark, rolling in fast. If the snow grows heavier, the extra weight could break the plane loose entirely. I need to hold for rescue, not move, not risk the structural shift of crawling across the fuselage again. Still, my instincts whisper that staying still is death. As the cabin dimness lifted, small movement caught my eye in the service compartment. A corner of a laminated checklist sticking out from behind a fire suppression panel. Not standard placement. Curious, I pulled it free. Not a checklist. A folded flight attendant's diary page. The handwriting rushed uneven. Day 1 after crash. Something came at night. Not infected. Spoke like passengers. Lured Mark outside. We found what was left. Missing a face. I stop reading. My throat tightens. On the back, another line. Day 3. It only mimics the dead after we look at them. It learns from us. So it wasn't just me. Others noticed it before they died. They tried to warn anyone who survived long enough to find this. The plane creaks again. Louder. Something shifts beneath the forward cabin. A hollow thunk echoes. Like a support beam slipping. I flinch. From beyond the service door, in the main aisle, a soft shuffle of debris. Metal ticking as it's nudged. I extinguish the recorder's small LED with my thumb. Darkness again. Only the faint blue-grey of morning leaks through cracks in the fuselage. Another sound. Closer this time. Not claws. Not scraping. Footsteps. Bare. Soft. Slowly approaching the cockpit. I hold my breath. I gently lower the recorder into my jacket to muffle its shape. The footsteps pause. Then a sudden metallic snap. A side panel being pushed open. A voice follows. A whisper. But not the creatures this time. Human. Hoarse. Afraid. Hello? Anyone alive up front? My breath leaves me in a stutter. Someone else survived? I wait. Forces collide inside my skull. Caution versus hope. The footsteps shift. Fabric rustles. A figure emerges in the faint light between the cockpit and cabin. A man, gaunt, shaking, holding a broken serving tray as a shield. His voice cracks. I heard the flare. I thought I was the only one left. His face is hollow, cheeks sunken, lips cracked, a deep cut along his brow, half-healed. His eyes dart like a prey animal waiting for the pounce. He sees me crouched in the service compartment. His relief hits so hard it looks like pain. You're real. For the first time in hours, warmth stirs in my chest. A human voice, a human shape, breathing, terrified, alive. I'm Maya, I whisper. Pilot, you? He swallows. Ravi, I was in the galley when we went down. I stayed hidden, didn't know who to trust. That thing, he shivers violently. It sounded like my sister for 2 nights trying to draw me out. Not just mine then. It hunts memories. It steals from anyone it kills. Ravi steps forward, but my hand flies up, stopping him. Prove you're alive. His face crumples. How? A dozen verification tests rush through my mind. Medical, physiological, but none reliable if the creature can mimic voices and shapes. But survivors develop instinct. Micro tells of the living versus the not quite. Describe the pain in your body right now, I say. Be specific. The creature never mimicked injury well. It didn't breathe properly, didn't understand small human suffering. Ravi presses his hand to his ribs. Left side, feels cracked, hurts most when I inhale cold air, and he hesitates, embarrassed. My toes are numb, can't feel two of them anymore. Human. I lower my hand. He exhales with relief and nearly collapses into the jump seat. His voice wavers. Is help coming? I nod once. Radio picked someone up. They said sunrise. He looks toward the thinning night. It's sunrise. Yes, I whisper. But they're not here yet. A silence falls between us. Heavy. Thick. With the knowledge that maybe the voice on the radio lied. Or died. Or was never real. He rubs his hands together. Breath shaking. I thought I'd go mad. The voices, the faces at the window. I haven't slept since. A sudden slam shakes the plane. Both of us jolt. Not from above, from beneath. Metal buckles downward. Something heavy hits the underside of the fuselage like a battering ram. Then again, louder, more urgent. The infected climbing the ravine found a way under the nose. Ravi's eyes widen, terror shining like glass. They're trying to tip the plane. A third impact shudders through the metal. The nose dips. We slide half an inch toward the ravine. No, no, no! Ravi grips the wall. If the infected keep ramming the underbelly, the nose could tip and the whole fuselage could pivot and fall. And sunrise may mean nothing if we're already dead. I grab the recorder from my coat. Speak low, fast. The infected are coordinated. They're attacking the nose to drop the plane. I'm not waiting for rescue anymore. We have to stabilize the front or evacuate before it collapses. Ravi grabs my arm. We leave. Go where? The ravine is full of them. Another violent slam throws us both sideways. I snap back to the recorder. If anyone hears this, the plane lurches. We're out of time. The impacts haven't stopped. Each one rattles the fuselage and sends a shiver through the metal floor. The nose dips another inch, more snow sliding off the shell. If the infected keep ramming, the entire aircraft will tilt forward and pitch into the ravine. Ravi was right. We have minutes, not hours. We're moving, not running. That would shake the structure more, but crawling with purpose. We left the cockpit and slipped into the forward cabin, stepping only on reinforced beams to avoid stressing the weakened floor. Ravi follows, clutching a fire axe he found wedged between seats. I whisper into the recorder as we move. Objective, reach the exterior nose gear panel. If we can jam something into the landing gear frame or shift weight forward, we might stop the tilt. If not, we'll have to climb down and outrun whatever is ramming us. Ravi breathes hard behind me. If we go outside, that thing might be out there. He doesn't say its name. Neither do I. Naming it feels like inviting it closer. We reach the forward service door. Jammed by the crash. Buckled at the top. But the bottom has enough gap to squeeze through with effort. Snow blows in through the cracks. Icy and relentless. Ravi gestures to the emergency ladder panel. Exterior access through the avionics crawl. I nod. It's narrow, dark, and exposed beneath the plane. The worst route. So of course it's our only one. I pull the latch. The panel opens with a pained shriek of metal. Cold air surges up. The ladder leads down into the avionics bay, under the nose. An icy coffin of wires, hydraulic lines, and dripping frost. Before I descend, a distant sound rises outside. Low, melodic, almost a hum. Ravi flinches. That's it. It's calling them. My skin prickles. The infected are responding. More of them climbing. Gathering beneath the nose, drawn by that hypnotic vibration. I force myself into the ladder shaft, boots meeting the metal rungs. Ravi follows, sealing the panel above us. We're in a cramped tunnel, barely tall enough to crouch. Flashlights flicker across the maze of frost-covered equipment. The plane groans above us like a dying animal. Not long now. Halfway through the crawl space, I hear voices. Multiple voices. Not from behind us. Not in the fuselage, but outside the nose panel ahead. A cluster of whispering tones. Familiar. Impossible. Maya, help us. It's cold. Why did you leave? My muscles lock. My breath fogs the air. The voices sink, echo, overlap. A choir of the dead. My dead. Faces flash in my mind. Passengers I lost. Co-pilots who trusted me. People who fell because I hesitated. Ravi grips my shoulder. His whisper trembles. It's in our heads. Keep moving. We crawl forward. The panel to the exterior nose is held by 2 twisted bolts. I wedge my multi-tool in and twist. Hands numb, fingers slipping. Sparks of pain jolt through them. But numbness is worse than pain. Pain means alive. Behind us, something rattles the ladder panel we came through. 3 taps. Pause. 3 taps. It found our entry point. The second bolt snaps free. I push the panel outward. A blast of frigid air and light hits us. We emerge under the nose of the aircraft, clinging to the metal frame just above the ravine. It's worse than I feared. At least 20 infected crowd the slope, clinging to debris, climbing toward the nose gear. Skin frozen, fingers blackened, jaws snapping, their eyes locked upward, animated by the humming lure beyond our sight, drawn to us like moths to flame. Ravi whispers, "There's too many." "We just need to stop the tilt," I reply, forcing calm into my voice. If the nose stabilizes, we climb back and wait for rescue. I swing myself down to the nose gear frame. The structure is warped but intact. Snow falls around us. The wind cuts at exposed skin. Another sickening shift. Metal moans overhead. The nose dips half a foot. Snow avalanches. 3 infected slip, tumbling into the ravine. The remaining cling harder, screeching. We have seconds. Wedge the axe handle through the support gap, I shout. Ravi threads it through a twisted brace. It holds for a moment, then snaps like kindling. We need something stronger. I look at the emergency jack lever mounted to the frame, a steel rod meant for maintenance. I rip it free. "Help me lock it!" Together, we ram the rod into the gear hinge, rotating until it locks against the mount. The nose dips again, but only an inch this time. The rod holds, for now. Ravi gasps. "It's working!" A wet sound interrupts him. A hand. Grey, long-fingered, Ethan's hand, reaches over the edge of the fuselage just above us, gripping the metal. Its head appears next, upside down, still smiling that wrong smile. It watched us fix the nose, and it didn't like that. Ravi freezes, breath shaking. The creature's voice threads into the wind, soft, coaxing, too calm. Let go, Maya. You can rest. You've earned a fall. It drops from the fuselage, landing on the nose gear, just feet from us. Limbs bend, adjusting like fluid. Its head twitches with insect precision. The infected below see movement. They swarm upward. Scrambling toward us, the creature deliberately shifts, shaking the frame, trying to break the brace. I shove Ravi toward the crawl panel. Go! What about? Go! He climbs. The creature lunges. I intercept, swinging a loose metal bracket into its face. Bones crack, not like human bones, more like twigs snapping. It recoils, but that grin never changes. Behind me, the infected climb. Fingers rake the metal near my boots. I pull myself up toward the crawl panel, but the plane lurches violently. The nose dips again. The brace squeals under pressure. The metal around us groans in warning. Either the plane stabilizes, or we fall with it. I gasp into the recorder as I grab the edge. We bought time, but the creature is here. It won't let us hold the nose. If the brace fails, the entire plane goes down. The creature climbs after me, whispering in Amelia's childish voice now. Don't leave me again. My grip slips. I'm not dying here, I snarl. The sun finally crests the ridge, a blinding line of gold cutting through the storm. For a moment, the creature flinches, hisses, skin smoking where sunlight touches it. It falls back, scrambling under the fuselage to escape the light. Hope ignites like fire in my chest. I hook my arm into the panel and pull myself up as the infected shriek below in the new daylight. I don't know what the sun did to it, but it's our first advantage. Sunlight. I never thought I'd say this, but it saved us. The moment that golden beam hit the creature's skin, it recoiled like a wounded animal. No, not an animal. Animals react with instinct. This thing reacted with memory, as if sunlight reminded it of something it used to be. Something it lost. I pulled myself into the avionics crawl space before it could recover. Ravi grabbed my jacket and yanked, slamming the hatch shut behind me. We lay there panting, our breaths crystallizing in the cold air. Ravi breaks the silence first. So, sunlight hurts it. The plane creaks again, not as violently as before. The brace is holding, but we're still dangling above a ravine, with frostbitten corpses crawling up to greet us. We can't stay, I say. If that thing finds shade and comes back, we're done. We move through the crawl space fast, ignoring the voices that whisper as we pass through the dark metal tunnel. When we reach the forward cabin, the light creeping through the broken windows feels like a blessing. Ravi stops, back pressed to the wall. Maya, when we get out, what then? It's a simple question. One people used to ask with hope. Now it feels like a threat. We survive the next hour, I answer. That's enough. We gather supplies, rope from the emergency kit, flare gun, 2 flares, a half-broken climbing harness, thermal blanket. It's not gear, it's lifelines. This plane has turned from shelter into a coffin we're trapped inside with the lid halfway shut. We make for the exit point, the left wing route. where the fuselage crumpled enough that we can climb out and reach the ridge if the structure doesn't break. As we move, the voices return, but softer this time, less intrusive, not whispers in my skull, but memories pressing against my thoughts. Captain Maya, permission to take over descent? We trust you. You always make the right call. Just jump, Maya. Pull the chute. I grip the recorder to keep grounded. If anyone finds these logs, and you hear voices too, don't trust the ones that sound like comfort. The outbreak didn't start the madness. It just removed the walls that kept it quiet. We reach the wing root. The metal is slick with frost, but sunlight touches most of the surface. Ravi goes first, crawling out, using the rope to secure a path along the wing. Below, the ravine yawns open, hundreds of feet down. The infected who fell earlier lie motionless, frozen. For a moment, the world looks still. Then, from beneath the fuselage, a hand claws out, charred where sunlight burned it. The creature, it moves differently now, less smooth, more desperate, as if the sunlight isn't just harmful, but exposing, revealing cracks in whatever it's become. Ravi whispers, "It's coming." The sunlight reaches its arm. It jerks back, hissing, seeking shade under the wing. Its skin bubbles where light touches. I turn to Ravi. The flare gun. His eyes widen. "You want to." "It fears light. Let's give it something brighter." Ravi hands it to me with shaking fingers. I step out onto the wing. The metal groans but holds. Wind howls up the ravine. The creature clings to the underside, its long fingers gripping, waiting for shadow to shift so it can climb. I fire. The flare streaks under the wing, igniting a burst of burning magnesium white light. The creature shrieks, an inhuman layered scream that fractures into multiple voices. Ethan, Amelia, the passengers, and then something ancient and hollow all at once. It drops, flailing, skin melting into the light, and falls into the ravine. It hits the rocks far below. Silence. Ravi exhales shakily. "Is it dead?" "Or just broken," I say. But it bought us time. We inch along the wing toward the ridge. Every movement risks a slip. Every gust of wind threatens to peel us off into the ravine like loose snow. Halfway across, I pause, not from fear, but clarity. "I'm not hearing the voices," I whisper. Ravi looks back. "At all?" I shake my head. "Not since the light hit it." Understanding hits us both. "It wasn't just hunting us," Ravi says. "It was inside us. Feeding," I finish. "On fear, on memory." We reach the end of the wing and climb to the ridge using the rope. Hands raw, knees numb, lungs burning, but alive. When my boots touch solid rock, I finally let myself breathe. I glance back at the broken aircraft. Sunlight glints off the metal. We leave it behind, hanging over its frozen grave like a monument to the world before everything fell. We start down the ridge, seeking shelter, warmth, signal, anything. Before I close this log, I need to say this. Not for drama, not for fear, but as a warning. There are infected that rot. There are infected that evolve. And there are infected that remember. If you see one that smiles, run before it speaks. End of chapter, but not the end of the story. If anyone intercepted this transmission, answer me this. Would you have fired the flare or tried to capture that creature to study it. I need to know what kind of survivors are still out there. If you respond, mark your signal with day 176, so I know you heard this and made it this far. And if you want the next logs, tell me, should I keep broadcasting